Hey everyone, this is Brittany from notanotherbritney.com, and I'm here to talk about my Girls Code Party, the capstone project for my degree here at Asbury University. So let's get started. First, before we dive in, who can guess the name of the man who wrote the first computer algorithm? I'll give you a hint, it's not who you think. Go ahead and unmute yourself and take a guess. That's a good guess, but it's actually not correct. Anybody else? It's not Steve Jobs, it's not Bill Gates. So these are good guesses, but that was actually a trick question. The person that invented the first computer algorithm was Ada Lovelace, the daughter of Lord Byron. That's right, the first computer algorithm was actually written by a woman. And the reason for that is that computer science was originally considered women's work. Women were pioneers in the tech industry dating all the way back to the 1800s. But today there's an increasing gender gap in tech. So as you see over there on the left, the rate of women to men in the United States is about 1-to-1, but the rate of men to women in the tech field is 5-to-1, and some experts believe it's closer to 6-to-1. The rate that women are entering the tech industry compared to men is 0.4%, which is crazy low. And the number of girls majoring in computer science is declining, so it's looking like this problem is just going to get worse. I believe we can do better. I believe we can change that ratio. Unfortunately, many K-12 schools don't teach computer coding curriculum or have the resources and funds available for STEAM and computer science programs. And like most states, my home state of Kentucky still has no plans for statewide K-12 computer science curriculum. This is especially concerning for people who live in rural America, the Appalachian Mountains, underprivileged and inner city youth, as well as people who are underrepresented in STEAM fields, including girls and women. So my project proposal to address this problem is Girls Code Party. As you can see here from the brochure, this is an online coding course for teenage girls and women ages 16 and over, and it's not your typical traditional stuffy tech course. There's no computer jargon. It's an exclusive coding party with your best friends. There's bright colors, there's music, there's a soundtrack with dance breaks. You're invited to bring your best friends along with you for the ride, and it should be an upbeat, whimsical, fun learning environment for this particular demographic. This also helps prevent confusion with the plethora of existing code camps and workshops, including those that already exist in my home state of Kentucky, and it should help inspire a new generation of tech visionaries. So let's take a look at the ADDIE process that I used when developing this curriculum. So first things first, I did the analysis process throughout my ID 200 and 400 level courses. So I collected data, did a lot of research, did learner analysis and needs assessments. And my original idea for this course was actually a one-day workshop held in person in the state of Kentucky just for children ages 7 to 14. So why did I change the project so drastically? Well, I did a lot of research and I found through online surveys, emails, social media surveys, video conferences with my target demographic, and a SurveyMonkey survey that you can actually see down the right-hand side of the screen that there weren't that many children interested in this type of a course. It was actually primarily teenagers and adults, and that includes people who don't even have children. And they weren't located just in Kentucky, they were located throughout the United States and around the world, as you can see in the map in the top right. A lot of questions kept coming up from potential participants, such as they knew that coding was important, they knew that they should learn it, and they wanted to learn it, but they weren't sure how coding would help their careers. They also wanted to know, and specifically teenage girls in particular were motivated by this, but they wanted to know how coding could help them help others. How could coding help them make the world a better place? So teen girls, studies are showing, have philanthropic motivations. They're very motivated by social good. And when they understand the answers to these questions, they are more self-directed in their own learning and they get more excited about learning to code. Lastly, this came up a lot from teenagers as well as from parents, but they want to learn how to collaborate with others on a real world project. And actually what I'm hearing from parents is that they would not be willing to pay for their teenagers to take a coding course unless it included collaboration and group work. So that was really interesting to see. So I decided to revise my training needs. So instead of doing a one-day workshop in the state of Kentucky for children, I decided to make an online e-learning course open to adults and teenagers ages 16 and over. And I think 16 is a really crucial age because by that time they have the prerequisite reading, writing, and math skills for this type of a coding course. And if parents or adults decide to take this course, even though it's geared towards teenagers, they could still get a lot out of it. I could implement some adult learning theory, and both of these groups could still be pretty self-directed in their online learning. So I think that this will work out really well. Another thing that came up during my analysis, specifically during ID 470 and 475, was I started developing a hypothesis that the current K-12 drag and drop coding curriculum, such as code.org, Hour of Code, CodeMonkey, all of these sort of really beautiful visual curriculums that are sometimes being taught in current K-12 environments throughout the United States and throughout the world, are falling short in actually teaching children the skills that they need to set them up for successful careers in the tech industry. So I decided, of course, to do some tests on this. This hypothesis is shared not only by myself, but also with many experts in the industry, web developers, friends of mine who work at NASA are concerned about this. So I decided to test the hypothesis just to see if there actually is an issue. And as it turns out, my research actually supports this hypothesis. So there were complaints from parents as well as teenagers about the lack of computational thinking in these types of curriculums, and they don't like that these projects are not real world projects. So as you can see here on the screen, they're just dragging blocks to build a character, but that's not a real website. It's not teaching them how to write lines of code, and they don't understand the context behind why they're doing it. I have in my professional career as a coding instructor seen K-12 students get frustrated to tears with this exact example here. So that's definitely something that I want to avoid in my course. So my course instead is going to take a different approach. We're going to actually write code by hand. We'll be developing real world projects, and we'll be implementing all of the feedback and all of the research that I've done into the curriculum. So you can see on the right side of the screen here, these are examples from my pilot tests from actual teenage girls who have been helping me test and evaluate this curriculum. These are some of the projects that they've come up with. So we are using triarchic theory to develop a deeper understanding of computer coding and how, again, it can help these girls change the world, bring their ideas to life, and make an impact in their local communities. So some of the ideas we've had are helping kids with cancer, helping fight for higher pay for Kentucky school teachers, which is something that I think will resonate with everyone on this call. And we've had a lot of other really good ideas. These are just two of the ideas and two of the websites that these teen girls have been building. So the next process after analysis was to actually design and develop the curriculum. So throughout, as you can see throughout my classes here at Asbury, I've been doing that. So I first started out by creating course outlines and figuring out the content flow for the material. The material does scaffold, so I created lesson plans that scaffold on top of each other, teaching them the foundations first and then building upon those throughout the course. I created assessment plans such as the formative assessments, which will be quizzes and code reviews, and the final assessment, the final project for the class, will be similar to what you see down the right-hand side of the screen here. So each student will walk away with a working website that they've coded by hand, and they could actually show that to employers, share it on social media with their friends, show their parents, or if they wanted to, they could launch that business idea or that nonprofit idea. So we're getting them thinking about that at an early age, as young as 16. Then I developed the curriculum. I wrote the curriculum out, created the learning materials and assessments like you see here, gathered resources, and throughout all of this, I've been continuing my pilot tests and my evaluation. So as you see here, I've done the first 3 steps of the ADDIE process, and the implementation and evaluation are still in progress. Those I expect to wrap up in spring of 2020. But let me be clear that I don't think evaluation has to wait until the very end of the ADDIE process. I think that it can be something, and actually works really well as something that you do in a cycle over and over again throughout the ADDIE process. So as you can see, I started evaluations even during the analysis phase, and I've done several rounds of evaluations throughout this whole process. So again, my ID 200, 300, and 400 level courses have really helped me build this project into what it is today. And my evaluations have included researching other courses, looking at the curriculum that's already out there, surveying and interviewing my target demographic of teen girls and young women, beta testing, doing pilot tests, and evaluating the material that I'm building. And I'm continuing to do do those pilot tests. And I've created a pre-course survey to see what skills the learners already have coming into this course. And I'm currently building a post-course review, which you can see here on the screen on the right-hand side. It's going to have questions very similar to these, just to make sure that we did hit all of our goals and objectives. The implementation phase, this is going to include me adding more to the course. There's more lessons to write, but there's also cheat sheets to create. And I want to add gamification to the course to make it a little bit more of a party atmosphere, a little bit more fun. And I'll show you some of that when we look at the curriculum. Additionally, based on parent feedback, I'm adding more collaboration and more group work to the course. Again, parents said that they would not pay for this type of a course unless it included those real-world projects, collaboration, and working on teams together. So that's absolutely something we'll be adding in, and finalizing the curriculum and learning materials. Between now and spring of 2020, I'll be uploading everything to my chosen LMS, which is Blackboard. I'll start recruiting participants, and we'll actually launch a fully functional online course on Blackboard with a registration website where people can pay for the course and then be redirected over to the LMS to actually take the course. So let's talk about the goals and objectives that I've chosen for this course and whether I was able to hit those. So as you can see here, we started the goals and objectives in ID 212 and kind of revised those a little bit in ID 470. And it's quite obvious here, at least I'm hoping that it's obvious, that these were based upon my actual research and analysis. So identifying how coding skills can assist with career development or real-world applications. How can code help you make the world a better place? And this aligns not just with the research, but I think it also aligns with Asbury's mission. So how can we use these projects that we are creating during our degree programs at Asbury to make a bigger impact on the world? So I'm really excited to help these girls think about that as well. Demonstrating how to use two different types of coding languages, HTML and CSS. Those are the two most common coding languages on the web. They're the foundation and the backbone for every single website that you look at. So the students will actually be typing out lines of code by hand. By the end of the course, they will have they'll know how to code in both of those languages. So they could start building websites, start a freelance business if they wanted to, or keep fleshing out the project idea that they've been working on throughout this course. So very, very real world applications. I would say, just based on the student projects that I've shown you so far from our pilot tests, that we are indeed hitting these goals and objectives. Students are really excited about this. I've even had some students tell me that they are planning on majoring in computer science after taking this course. So that's really exciting to hear. So what did I learn? Well, I learned a lot through this course and through this project. First and foremost, I learned more about learning management systems. So I was not that familiar with learning management systems when I started this project. And I have since, just over the course of my analysis phase, have used probably 5 to 7 different learning management systems. Shout out to ID 375 for helping me with that. And I ultimately decided to use one of those, Blackboard, for this project. Gamification was another thing that came up. I was really inspired by Classcraft in ID 375, but Classcraft is meant for more of a blended learning environment. This is a 100% online course, so I'm still trying to work gamification, maybe not at that level, but still have a really exciting element of gamification in this course where girls can earn bonus points for breaking out into dance parties just to keep with the party theme of the course. They can do little secret missions and get extra bonus points that way. So trying to gamify it a little bit more. And then, of course, based on my feedback, more social constructivism, more group work, getting really creative about how to implement collaboration in a 100% online learning environment. This, again, is a must. Parents said they would not pay for this unless the course included that element. Lastly, what would I change about this process? If I were to repeat this process, I would use more backward planning from the start. I did use backward planning for this course, but it's not my forte. It's something that I definitely want more practice in, and I'm looking forward to getting more practice in that in the spring semester. But definitely gradually getting better at that and looking forward to implementing it on a larger scale. I would like to also identify the learning management system quicker. So instead of evaluating like 7 different learning management systems, maybe just narrowing in and focusing on one. So maybe just using Blackboard from the start for the entire course, and then using something else like WordPress or Teachable or something like that to handle the payments. Lastly, I would love to do large-scale research analysis. This is a huge problem, but it's a recent problem that's only really come about in the last 20 to 30 years. And there's not been much independent third-party research done on this topic. Most of the research is funded by code.org, Hour of Code, Google. So of course they're trying to promote their own products a bit. So I think it would be really helpful to have some independent research, and I would love to participate in that to really get to the bottom of why are fewer girls majoring in computer science, and why aren't they interested in learning to code, and how can we really tackle this problem on a larger scale. So now that we've talked about that, let's actually take a look at the curriculum. And this gives me a chance to get a drink of water. So the curriculum, as you can see here, I paid very close attention to the flow of the content in this course. So, and all of it is, again, keeping with that idea that this is a party. This is a really fun, upbeat class geared towards teenage girls. So you're going to see a lot of these types of illustrations, really bright colors, and the party theme. So when they're learning about the syllabus, the announcements, or when they go to ask for help, all of that is grouped into this sort of pre-party session. They do have a forum where they introduce themselves and create a party quote-unquote name badge. So you'll see that theme popping up throughout the course just to kind of keep with that sort of party energy and atmosphere. Then after they get through those foundations and we sort of set up expectations, they dive right into the course and what it's going to be about. So I'll actually show you some of that curriculum. So each of these lessons are set up with learning preferences in mind. So we've got a combination of video and text materials and hands-on activities. There are some quizzes, but there are also some hands-on assignments with code reviews, discussions, and group work. And so I'm kind of trying to incorporate all of that so that learners with different preferences still get a lot out of this course. So they'll start by introducing themselves here, and again, just keeping with the party theme, keeping with these really vivid, brightly colored illustrations that will resonate hopefully with this target demographic. I've got the pre-course survey just so we can learn what skills and foundations the learners are coming into the course with. And again, more brightly colored imagery that should hopefully appeal to teenage girls, Taylor Swift references, attention-grabbing pop culture references, and things just to captivate them. And right up front, from the first lesson, we're trying to illustrate to them why it's important to code, and also introduce them to other teenage girls who are using code to make a difference in their world. So I'm trying to highlight people who are using code for other things besides just websites, because you can use code at Pixar for animated films, you can use it to make music, you can use it for fashion. There's so many different implications of code. So here's one of the gamification steps. So they have an option to learn some additional material that won't be on the quiz, but to also earn extra points. So this is one of those extra steps that they can do just to sort of gamify things a little bit. And then a quiz, which I've already submitted the quiz, but I'll kind of show you. We can submit the quiz multiple times, and then the highest grade is recorded. So that's what's happened here. It's an automatically recorded quiz. And then we get into the class project, and this is also where the triarchic theory comes into play. So again, we're showing them samples of what they'll be creating, giving them some inspiration and ideas, and building upon the idea and the research that teen girls are motivated by philanthropy, by social good, by using code to make the world a better place. So we really try to drive that home. So their first assignment in this lesson is a group discussion. So there is some group brainstorming that happens here. They're going to be using triarchic theory to really evaluate and ideate and come up with different ideas for what they might do for the class project. And more importantly, once they've identified a cause that matters to them, how can they use code to contribute to that cause and to make the world a better place? So throughout this lesson, by the end of the lesson, they will have had a chance to pick their class project. They also have another gamified bonus in here where they can take a dance break. There is a Spotify music playlist that I've created specifically for this class, and I've had people already use it who've told me that they really enjoyed it. They enjoyed being able to take a dance break in the middle of coding because it is such a technical class. We still want it to be fun. We still want it to be energetic, and so that kind of helps keep the energy up. Now, the rest of the lessons, I do still have some curriculum that I'm writing that I'll be adding between now and the spring, but every single one of these lessons builds upon what they've previously learned. So I did build scaffolding and constructivism into the course, and there's also a bit of behaviorism, because behaviorism works very, very well for coding. There's a lot of true, false, right, wrong answers. It's very similar to vocabulary, spelling, and grammar. So a lot of that has been built into this course as well. So that is the basic overview of what I've created so far. And I'll leave this up on the screen in case you have any questions about it, but I'd love to open this up for questions if anyone has any.